Hey guys, this week we have, yes, another Yeti cake. This was my entry into the cake challenge over on my forum where the brigadiers voted for the theme Winter. We all worked from a mood board and I would love if you could stick around till the end of the video to vote for your favourite entry. So I'm starting out by sticking a 7-inch cake slightly towards the back of my drum. And then I'm just stacking it 3 layers high and cutting the 4th one to create a bit of shape. You can use a cake tin to cut around, but I'm just holding it against the cake to match the curve of the 7-inch. Then I'm going to use one part stuck against the bottom and the remaining cake angled on the top. Just cutting one simple layer like this instantly changes it from a regular old cake into something you can create more of a scene on. No extra cake needed. I'm now just sealing the whole cake in with a rough layer of ganache. The recipe for this is always linked below. Once that's set, spread on another slightly neater layer using your scraper to help define the ledges. Spritz the whole thing with water, making sure it's all damp, and then roll out your white sugar paste and drape it over the top. Don't be put off by the shape, it's not all that more difficult to cover. Just start by pushing the paste into the ledges and then go around removing the pleats from the back, as you usually would on a round cake. You'll notice I pull the pleats open rather than pulling down to stop that top edge from ripping. Trim off all the excess with a scalpel and define that bottom edge, trimming it as clean as you can. Due to the shape, you may get air bubbles, so just pop them with an acupuncture needle and push out the air. Finally, buff out any imperfections with an acetate smoother. Put some lumps of paste onto the board with water for added hills in the snow before covering the whole board using the toilet seat method. The full step-by-step is also a separate video linked in the description box should you need to watch in more detail. Taking inspiration from the top right image, I'm adding a bit of water to the board, just trimming out a random wave shape and then placing this on top of blue paste to use as a template. This should then slot straight into the space and we can trim it off level with the board. Remember to roll your blue paste thinner so it doesn't come up higher than your snow. Using my favourite stuff, foam core, I'm using this scrap piece to cut out soft cartoon mountains in various sizes. You just need a nice sharp scalpel. Use piping gel to coat the edges and front before covering it in grey paste. I've also added a cocktail stick up into the mountain to make it easier to handle. Trim the paste clean and flat on the back and repeat the steps for your other mountains in different shades of grey. For the snowy tops, I'm just cutting out drippy shapes from white paste and keep hold of that cut off as you can use it by turning it upside down. Dampen the drips and place them on the tops of your mountains, smoothing the cut edges with your finger and again trimming it flat on the back. Place your finished mountains in a little arrangement on the top of your cake towards the back. For the little ski huts, I'm using a very pale lilac and chopping a sausage down into cubes with a large flat knife. I'm helping to keep the straight edges by pushing them together with two smoothers. Cut the cube on top at an angle so you have a little sloped roof from front to back. Make two of these and stick one on top of the mountain and the other to the top tier with water. Using a thin white wire, bend one end down straight and push this into the roof of your highest ski hut. Then hold the wire down to the other hut, trimming it to size and also bending it straight to attach through that hut. Bend your wire until it sits in both huts comfortably without pulling them. In the same lilac, cut little flat rectangles for the roofs of your huts which hide the wire. Add piping gel to your white wire and roll very tiny white pieces of paste, almost like rice, and wrap them around the wire to create little stoppers. Please ignore my pink fingers. For a change, this is not food colouring, but actually printer ink. Place in two stoppers and then cut out tiny little squares from blue paste. Trim off the corners of each square for your little gondola carriages. Using the same white wire, bend one end into a tiny hook, trim it down and then push this down inside your gondola. You need to hang it on gently now so you can make sure your sugar paste gondola faces the front when it's hung. Then just leave it to dry. For the yetis, roll out an oval of white paste and use a ball tool to create an oval cavity in the top half. Fill this hole with an oval of blue paste, squashing it down and merging the two colours together. You can secure him onto the cake with a cocktail stick onto the little ledge. Roll his little feet by starting with a fat teardrop and defining it in the middle into a slight jelly bean shape. Add two to the front with water and roll tiny little balls varying in size for his toes. Using a Dresden tool, you can create fur by scratching it in with the sharp end. His arms are little cones of paste, chopped down flat and stuck onto his body at either side with water. Using a darker teal, make some smaller cones, chopped flat again, added to the top of his head as little horns. Using the larger end of your Dresden tool, you can push in and wiggle for a cute little mouth. You can leave it like this or insert a tiny roll of black paste, squashing this inside. Then a tiny little ball of pale pink for a tongue. Eyes are just two black dots followed by white ones for catch lights and then pink ovals underneath for cheeks. You can either add paste for eyebrows or simply paint them on with white paint. For the little skis, I'm using the lilac again and cutting almost a lollipop stick shape, cut flat at one end, and then I'm just bending the curved part over and letting them set on a foam mat. Make a second Yeti in exactly the same way, but this time add in a kebab stick to the left of his body. Place one end of the white wire into the water and wrap the additional around the top of the stick, trimming the excess for his fishing pole. You can also add little ripples around the wire by marking it in with a Dresden tool or painting it with white paint. Continue making your Yeti in the same way, but folding one arm around his fishing pole. I still think Yetis should be the next mythical creature to get their big trending moment. You'll notice in my excitement to get the skis in place, I placed one on back to front. Luckily, I was able to peel it back off and place it on again, and he only lost one toe. What a trooper. For quick filler trees, I'm rolling out a deep teal colour into a cone, and I'm pushing the bottom flat against my worktop. Using a Dresden tool, pull downwards around the base for a little furry skirt. I'm doing this a little bit backwards, which is why it looks a little scruffy, but you can take your time and perfect it. Keep going around, pulling lines into the tree in rings until you get to the top. And you've created a very quick, albeit a little scruffy, fir tree. Make them in various sizes and add them all around your cake. I just love quick fillers. Using some white paint and a paintbrush, gently skim over the trees to give them a frosty look. You need to make sure your brush is mostly dry for this effect, otherwise your paint will run. As a last wintry touch, I'm just adding snowflakes to any bare areas, and of course no wintry cake would be complete without a couple of puffs of sugar flare glitter. You may notice my ski huts and gondolas have little windows. These were just painted on with white paint and somehow the footage has disappeared. But that's it, a cute little Yeti village where you can create your own scene just by chopping one tier of your cake into pieces. Again, here was the mood board I was working from, and I took the colours, the scenery in the top right and the skiing element for this piece. Now I need your help choosing a winner from all the other entries. Not all of the entries are cake, some are paintings or cookies, as I do encourage any type of creativity for these challenges. Each one has been given a letter on screen, just leave the letter of your winner in the comments below. Some used the colour scheme, some used one image, some used a few images, and some just used the theme name of winter. If you want to join us on one of these challenges, we are currently voting for the next theme over in the forum and Facebook group, and there is a link in the description box to sign up if you wish. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and I can't wait to see what you think of everybody's work in the comments. There are some amazing pieces. Thanks guys, see you next week.